Parasites can lead to malnutrition by feeding off of host nutrients. Deficiencies that are essential nutrients like vitamin B, omega-3 fatty acids can negatively impact brain health and your mood. Those little guys may be running you like a puppet. You thought maybe it was aliens that were controlling your mood, but maybe it's just your friendly parasites.
Neck pain, backaches, headaches, fatigue, the list goes on, and you're likely on it. Tired of the broken system and big pharma? We offer logical solutions, teach you to think critically, and empower you to reclaim your health. Welcome to the Unplugged Healthcast with Dr. Kevin Wall.
Hey, it's time to wake up. This is the Unplugged Healthcast. I'm your host, Dr. Kevin Wall. We're here today wrapping up our series on mental health disorders, anxiety, depression, and we're bringing you a really great finale. I've got something very unique, something you have not thought about today, but before we get into it, let me wrap up where we've been. We started off our series with the power of vitamin G, gratitude. The science says that you cannot be grateful and depressed at the same time. We then went into your mess is your stress. That more clutter, the more chaos, the more disorganization you have around you, the higher incidence of depression, anxiety, and sleep disruption. This is a simple thing you can do. Get organized, reduce your clutter, help others by giving away what you have, and it will help you think clear, be less anxious, decrease your depression. Today, though, we're talking about something that is unique, something you haven't probably thought about, and we're going to bring you a perspective about anxiety, depression, memory loss, even dementia that you got to consider because it's affecting all of you. You don't even realize it. Have you ever had any idea what makes blue cheese blue? Have you ever thought about that? Do you like sushi, raw fish, raw meats of any sort? Have you ever had or do you own presently a cat or a dog or any pet? Do you live in the Midwest or areas of high humidity? Do you have a basement? Have you ever had a broken pipe and noticed you had flood damage? Do you ever drank water in maybe Latin America, Mexico, or even a foreign country? Or maybe even in your environment, your water is not as clean as it should be. Chances are you have said yes to a multitude of these answers. But do you realize your yeses are no's when it comes to optimal mental health? Let me explain why. Today, our topic, mold and parasites and your mental health. Do you have critters creating havoc in your head? Did you forget that parasites cause memory loss? Did you ever consider your blue cheese cravings are more than just cravings? Maybe it's the mold messing up inside your head, your brain. Now, I know you're tired of my farm stories, but unfortunately, I got one more for you today that definitely lines up with our topic. See, when I was very little, we moved from the city out into the country. But I vividly remember my dad working on the 150-year-old farmhouse that he bought. This was soon to become our home. Boy, this was rustic, but I remember him tearing out the walls to redo all the inside of the house. And as he removed what was then called lath and plaster, which was the common way you built homes back in the early 1900s, behind the walls, it was black. And I remember asking my dad, well, what the heck is that? Why is everything black behind the walls? And he goes, oh, no worries, son. It's just mold and mildew. That's just par for the course in these old homes. Well, I'm not sure it's par for anybody's course, but it definitely was where I grew up. On top of that, we had an old cellar, an old, what was called an old vintage food cellar. But in the cellar, as you know, there was preservatives and vegetables that were canned. This is how you lived always. But there was always moisture. If you've got a basement, chances are you've got moisture. If you're living in any part of the Midwest or Northeast, you've got moisture in your basement and in your environment of your home. This was just an everyday staple. This was normal. I think if you've ever been in a farm or a home or environment like this, moisture is just what you live with and it's prevalent. But you probably don't realize there's probably complications to that long-term exposure of all of that. We had cattle, we had dogs, we had cats, we had bats in the house. We had raccoons as pets. There was always conversations about deworming our animals, concerns for rabies, parasites in our water sources. I never really understood or thought much about it, what this stuff was or what it was even doing to us. It was just not something I figured you probably wanted to have around a lot, you needed to avoid, but it wasn't something that raised anything of concern on my radar at that point. I had no idea that that mess could be messing with my head. In fact, as I think back on it, the older lady that lived in the home before us, which I found out later, she went crazy. She actually committed suicide inside the house. I now wonder, back in the day, as we took off the old lath and plaster, if all of that mold had anything to do with what had happened to that lady. Well, you probably haven't thought much about mold or parasites outside of maybe you've heard it makes you sick, creates some other conditions. Maybe you've heard about limes or ticks issues of bugs like that. But let's take a few moments and let me connect the dots watching a simple video that actually helps you understand the connection to mold and your mental health.
They took the brains of Alzheimer's patients, and I believe after they passed away, they went through the brain, and 100% of them, 100%, all of them, were riddled with mold. Alzheimer's is really a fungal issue in the body, and the tau proteins, which is breaks down in the brain, is really breaking down because it's trying to stop the spread of mold. I think there's some truth to that. Whenever you have memory issues, brain issues, dementia, Alzheimer's, look to this. Mold essentially is a single spore fungus. Now, when you see mold accumulating in your homes or in a public building, you are seeing a colony of mold. Now, the spores will start spreading out to try to survive, and in times of when it feels threatened, it will release mycotoxins, and this is what you need to write down. It is the mycotoxins of mold that create all of our issues. It is directly related to anxiety. Directly related.
Wow. I bet you hadn't thought about that before. Mold, Alzheimer's, dementia, anxiety. Well, the science isn't so far-fetched. Let's look at why this could be causing your mental health disorders. First thing, when you have chronic exposure, now we're not talking a one-time thing. People get exposed to mold. You eat blue cheese. It happens. You get mold on your food. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this consistent, prolonged exposure is directly related to symptoms of anxiety, depression, cognitive dysfunction like brain fog, memory loss, and dementia. How? Well, the first thing it does is mold exposure triggers immune responses. Your body knows this is an abnormal thing your body does not want inside of you. This creates inflammation and chronic inflammation. The key word here is chronic. Chronic exposure, chronic inflammation has been linked to various mental health conditions, various health conditions, but definitely even mental health conditions. Anxiety, depression, totally relevant. Increase your blood vessel size, increase surrounding tissues around your brain, pressure on your brain, decrease circulation, decrease oxygen to your brain, just because of inflammation relative to a heightened immune response due to chronic mold exposure. Secondary, those mycotoxins he talked about. They are neurotransmitter disruptors. Mold produces mycotoxins that alter the balance of neurotransmitters in your brain. These are crucial for mood regulation and mental cognition, which is basically a good word for your brain working correctly. Your ability to have cognition, to recognize, to understand, to connect dots together, to solve problems, to remember things from the past and bring them into the future. Well, what does that mean? You're going to have mood disorders. You're going to be able to think correctly. You're going to have issues relative to anything of problem solving. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to have anger as a result of your inability to connect the dots. Lack of mental cognition is a major complication to a lot of mental disorders. Basically, it is what I would call mental disorders. When your body cannot transmit nerve pathways consistently, you're going to struggle. Third off, mold exacerbates allergies and asthma. Well, this, of course, is breathing abnormalities, breathing difficulties. When you aren't able to regulate your oxygen, breathing dysregulation reduces oxygen to your brain and cellular respiration at all tissue levels, including your brain. This will increase physical and mental stress and anxiety, directly affecting your brain and mental function.
Imagine a life where every movement doesn't come with a price tag of pain. At AFC, we don't just treat symptoms, we rebuild your confidence, one personalized treatment at a time. Our approach goes beyond temporary relief, targeting the root of your pain and helping you rediscover what your body can really do. Don't settle for surviving. Call us or visit our website today.
What about those crazy varmints? Is this so crazy that you got parasites? Third world nations, they got them everywhere. We did a podcast recently just on this topic. Parasites. It's not as crazy as you think it is. Let's take a look at another video that brings some light to this topic.
This is the #1 parasite responsible for mental health challenges as well as numerous different neurological conditions like Alzheimer's, schizophrenia, and Parkinson's. Toxoplasma gondii has been estimated to be in 30 to 50% of the world's population. It's often known as the cat parasite, which is exactly why they tell pregnant women not to change kitty litter. However, that's not the only way that you could be exposed to Toxoplasma gondii. You can have undercooked meats like pork, venison, lamb. You could have unwashed fruits and vegetables, as well as picking this up simply through the soil. When it comes to symptoms, this parasite can show up in a variety of different ways. Mental health challenges like anxiety and depression, neurological conditions like Parkinson's, schizophrenia, Alzheimer's, bipolar disorder, OCD, autoimmune conditions, chronic fatigue, infertility, and other hormone imbalances. But the mental health impact is one of the biggest.
Well, there we go. Another great video illustrating exactly what I'm talking about. Mold causing dementia and parasites causing dementia. Mold causing memory loss, causing anxiety, causing depression, and parasites causing anxiety, depression. Well, if you haven't figured out, first off, you probably have got a cat or had a dog or been eating raw fish or raw meat or got exposed to water or food uncooked or undercooked in your lifetime. You've been in houses and environment where molds, you've been eating blue cheese, you name it, you are exposed. This is not something that your neighbor's dealing with. This isn't something that your friend, this is you, this is us, this is me. This is going on every day. If you're struggling with anxiety, depression, you got to consider this as a scenario, as a possibility. Come on. Here you go. How do parasites mess with your head? Well, let me give you 4. Direct neuro-invasion. Yeah, you heard that. Invasion. Yeah, that should freak you out. It kind of makes me freaked out. It's giving me anxiety thinking about that one. Certain parasites, such as Toxoplasma gondii, can actually burrow into your brain or the soft tissue surrounding it. This will alter behavior and increase your risk for mental health disorders like schizophrenia, personality disorders. Some of the big ones, and you're not even thinking this applies to you. Okay, second one is the immune response again. Whenever you got bugs, whenever you got viruses, whenever you got bacteria, whenever you have parasites or mold, your immune system is going to go into action. And that, if consistently, chronically exposed to it, if it can't defeat the bug, the virus, the parasite, then it's going to stay in this constant state of heightened inflammation. The body's immune response to parasites can reduce inflammatory cytokines that influence brain function and mood. Chronic infections may lead to prolonged inflammatory response, which will increase inflammation surrounding your brain. These heightened cytokines are going to create problems with your cognitive function again. Nutritional deficiencies. Well, you always knew that certain nutrients were vital for your brain, but did you realize that maybe you're eating for two? Or maybe you're eating for 202? See, if you got parasites, something's feeding them. You're feeding them. They're going to be sucking the nutrients out of your food, and this leads to a multitude of possible health concerns. And you probably didn't relate it, but yes, anxiety, depression, memory loss, dementia, no doubt about it. Parasites can lead to malnutrition by feeding off of host nutrients. Deficiencies that are essential nutrients like vitamin B, omega-3 fatty acids can negatively impact brain health and your mood. Behavior manipulation. Yep, those little guys may be running you like a puppet. You thought maybe it was aliens that were controlling your mood, but maybe it's just your friendly parasites. Some parasites can manipulate host behavior to enhance their survival, potentially leading to changes in your mood and your cognition, and this will be interpreted by you or health professionals as a mental health disorder. This isn't all the ways. I'm just giving you 4 examples: direct neuro-invasion, immune response, nutritional deficiency, and behavior manipulation by the parasites, from the parasites as a response to chronic parasitic infections. So here you go. You got to come to the same conclusion I'm at. Mold and parasites can contribute to mental health disorders through complex interactions and mechanisms involving toxins, inflammation, immune response, and direct alterations to your brain function and cognition. Understanding that these links highlight the importance to considering environmental and biological factors in mental health assessments. I doubt when you went to your psychiatrist, your psychologist, your counselor, that they ever had this conversation, even discussed with you the possibility that mold could be messing with your brain. So you've got to consider it. It's possible. I think after what I've just discussed, you haven't written me off that this should be one thing you could consider before you go on antidepressant, anti-anxiety medications, personality disorder altering medications. All of these things are really toxic on your liver, which may be the problem to start with. Because when you're dealing with molds and toxins, your liver is going to be in trouble. So when we're talking about solutions, here we go. There's simple ways for you to get out of these problems. First off, you got to kill the parasites. Okay? Then you need to get rid of the mold and detox it out of your body. You got to find out where it's coming from. And once you get rid of the source, that doesn't fix it. It just stops the ongoing exposure. You now got to get it out of your body. So how are we going to do that? Well, we're back to my liver detox. You can go back and watch the video, or you can just take my simple recommendation. I've done the research now. I've had so many people asking us, how do I detox my liver? How do I clean out my liver? Well, here you go. I found the answer. I found a simple answer. It's called Scientific Push Catch Liver Detox Cleanse. I've done the research. This one is the best. Right now, instead of going in detail, you just need to go to our website. You'll find the answer there to the best liver detox you're ever going to get. The simplest, easiest way to truly clean out your liver. One more time, the Scientific Push Catch Liver Detox Cleanse. That's the name of it. The name may not be simple, but the solution is. You can buy it right now off our website, drkevinwall.com. If you're confused, you can leave a question. I'll help guide you personally to how to get your liver cleansed out and how to get the mold and the toxins out of your body. You got to do it now for multiple benefits. One, though, is just cleaning out the brain from the mold. On our website, you can buy it cheaper than any place else. If you can find other places, I guarantee it. Number 2, you got to kill those critters. I know it's gross to think about it. You got things inside of you don't want. But there is no question we're dealing with parasites. It's just about what my good friend Chris DeRay says, managing your load. Most of you are overrun by mold, parasites, toxins, fungus. If you've ever heard of yeast, that's basically a mold, a fungus. We've got to get this stuff killed. And again, A lot of you guys have been asking, how do I kill parasites? What are the real tested ways that really functionally work that I have done and I've used for my patients and anybody that I know has these problems? And here it is. Cellcore has a phenomenal parasite cleanse. It's called Para 1, Para 2. You can try ivermectin. I'm not saying that doesn't work, but that doesn't always kill the ones that are burrowed in. And yes, they have got their hands and they're holding on for dear life. So sometimes you aren't killing them and you're not getting rid of them. And this is the answer. Cellcore Para 1, Para 2. And again, you can find it on our website, drkevinwall.com. This is a simple solution. It's capsules. It's completely natural. The trick to this one, it's called weed and feed. It's going to actually starve out the parasites and then it's going to clean them out. Just like you do to your lawn. You weed them out and then you clean them out. This is not only going to kill the ones you have today, but the eggs that unfortunately that are planted for the ones you're going to have tomorrow. It's going to get the ones that are burrowed in to let go and get them out. This one is the solution. I'm telling you, Cellcore, Para 1, and Para 2. It's 2 simple bottles. Go to our website, drkevinwall.com, and you'll find both of these products, and these are simple solutions that you can do to get rid of the toxins, kill the parasites, and get a hold of your mental cognition.
Hey guys, this is Dr. Kevin Wall. Here's the facts. Parasites are more common than you think they are. They come from your food, your water, your pets, even when you travel. And when they're living in your body, they're stealing your nutrients, disrupting your digestion, and draining your energy. That's why I personally recommend the Cellcore Para 1 and Para 2 Parasite Cleanse. What makes it different is that it doesn't just mask your symptoms. It targets the parasites directly, supports your gut, helps your body safely eliminate what doesn't belong. It's simple, effective, and it's the only parasite cleanse I trust. Clear out the unwanted, restore your energy, and get unplugged. Start your parasite cleanse today at drkevinwall.com.
Second, find the source and kill the mold. You may even have to find there's mold dogs out there. I have heard of many people that have brought in people to test if they have mold, and they have found it sometimes, and sometimes they missed it. But some of the simple answer, there are mold dogs out there, like the dogs that go through the airport. They will be able to tell you if you have mold in your home. You need to figure it out. If you're dealing with a high, humid environment, you got to consider the possibility that it's time to move. I hate to tell you. If you have been depleted because of parasites, you've got to find proper nutrients to replenish. Once you've killed the parasites and you've got those parasites out of your body, well, it's time to give your brain the nutrients it needs to become healthy again. Do not misunderstand. Anxiety and depression is 100% relative to nutritional deficiencies within your body. Here are the big ones. Omega-3 fatty acids. You've heard of it. Fatty fish. Vitamin Bs are huge. You'll find those in leafy green vegetables and eggs. Magnesium, you'll find those in nuts and beans. Zinc, you'll find that in seeds like pumpkin seeds and chia seeds and meat. Iron, you'll find that in spinach and red meat. Vitamin D, fortified foods, and sunlight. Go back and watch my malillumination podcast on the benefits of the sun, and for multiple benefits, definitely relative to helping your anxiety and depression. And here's why. Vitamin D helps your brain think better, think clear, helps your memory. And you've got to do things and eat things that support brain health and reduce inflammation and regulate mood-related transmitters and improve focus and energy levels. All right, well, there you go. Something you probably hadn't considered that you got to consider today. Parasites, mold. You got to kill them. You got to get rid of them. And then you got to feed your brain the proper nutrients that it needs to heal again. Here's the great news. The thing that's common about our podcast is health is simpler than you think it is. You aren't crazy. Maybe it's the bugs. Maybe it's the molds, or maybe it's the nutrients. I'm just sure that your psychologists or psychiatrists are not talking about these things for you. You've got to connect the dots. You've got to go back to some of the more simple things, food, water, and sunlight. And there you go. All right. Well, today we're going to wrap this thing up, and hopefully I have added value to you on your mental health. This is the end of our third-part series on mental health. If you haven't watched the first two, I'd really ask you to go back and look at those. Vitamin G, and organization in clutter. And definitely, if you will, do me a favor, share these podcasts with people that are suffering. It's an epidemic today in our society of anxiety, depression. Here's some simple answers. Go to our website, drkevinwall.com, and you can leave questions if you want to be a guest on our show. And you can find the products today that we talked about to get the mold out and to get the parasites dead. All right, we'll see you again on the next episode of the Unplugged Healthcast. This is Dr. Wall checking out. Always remember, be healthy, be blessed, never give up, never give in. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Unplugged Healthcast.
The information provided in this podcast is for general knowledge and informational purposes only. It does not constitute medical advice. Always consult with a qualified healthcare professional for diagnosis and treatment of any medical condition. The views and opinions expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Unplugged Healthcast or Dr. Wall.